I'd like us to start with the MTN share sale. I believe it ends today at 5 p.m. That share sale to local investors. And also MTN was in the news yesterday, emerging one of the winners of the NCC's 5G auction on Monday. Any market reaction to that in terms of how this company is progressing and what investors who have decided to buy these shares, the expectations on the company's expansion plans and of course future revenue?
Yeah, thank you, Esther. We need to understand the MTN offer first before we think what are the license they are getting. They got yesterday, the 5G license is going to impact on the share price going forward. Well, the price went up before the close of market today. But when you look at what MTN is offering, is existing majority shareholders of MTN that are actually offering for sell their shares to Nigerian investors by the judgment that was gotten through the government settlement scheme with MTN during the when they were fined. Now, we must understand that the money that the shares that you're buying, the proceeds from this share is going to the individual investors, not generally to MTN as a company. So MTN as a company is not going to benefit from this sell. It's the, excuse me, the individual, the majority shareholders that are selling their shares to the public. That is one. Then looking at it by the 5 license, remember the 5G license that they've gotten now, it's good news for investors in the MTN. But we want to see how they'll be able to raise the money for the payment of that license, and also how that will impact in the market going forward, especially when we are going to a market that is strongly driven by data. So for now, you can't really begin to use that as a year sticker towards how the performance of MTN will be in the near future. If this share purchase was being done by MTN as a company, and the proceeds from this share purchase is what they want to use for the payment of the 5G license, then I would have seen that what a good news for investors that are purchasing their shares. But as it stands now, is the individuals, investors, especially those that have majority shares that are selling those investors to the Nigerian shares to the Nigerian public.
All right, let's talk about overall market performance, especially since the beginning of this month. We have seen pockets of gains here and there, improved and strong market breadth, but the NGX is still in negative territory month to date. Talk to us about investor sentiment, how in the psyche behind the current investing strategy at the market.
Well, I think what we're seeing with what we see normally when it's December, we see investors re-strategizing, moving in, especially for dividend-paying stocks that will soon be paying their dividends in the first quarter of next year. So we are seeing that strategy, especially in the banking stocks. And so that's why you're seeing the kind of volume you're seeing in the banking stock. And then you see the price came down, but people are now beginning to see good entry point towards those shares in the bank, especially the tier 1. So we'll continue to see those sentiment play out in the market going forward, especially when you look back about the third quarter result from some of these quoted companies, their year end is December. So those sentiment we keep playing out, and then not to forget that the macroeconomy environment is also going through its own turbulent time, especially with what we will call it the fourth wave of COVID that is going to affect where the challenge from. So investors are still looking at good exit point and good entry point, and we'll continue to see that sentiment play out until towards the end of the year, and going towards the dividend year, we could see an upside in the market.
Well, did the market play out how you expected it to this year? We're currently, the NGX, the OSHA index is currently up just over 5% return to investors. How would you describe the market's trajectory so far this year?
Well, Esther, if we're coming from a negative to a positive of 5%, based on the type of situation we have throughout the year, the pandemic, coming out from the pandemic, a lot of companies are beginning just getting to find their foods. You see the result in the first, second. You saw an improvement in results from the first, second to the third, and then coupled with our exchange this year have been largely driven by retail investors and indigenous investors. You could say it's good news to even finish the year at 5%. because it was actually driven by retail investors, and what we saw was exit of foreign investors from our market, and the exchange rate volatility did not even attract them back to the market. So when you look at that, what was not a bad performance
Okay.
at all.
Muktar,
The year at 5%.